Okay, stinger time.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tim and April Show. I'm April.
I'm Tim.
Like how I jumped right in there.
I love that. Way to take
Initiative.
charge. I like that, April.
That's right.
However, the people in our clip, the clips that we're going to play, do not like an assertive, confident woman who just takes charge, especially over a man. So
It's true. Maybe that's why I did it. Maybe that's why.
Oh boy. Hello friends. Welcome in. Welcome to the Tim and April Show. We go live every Thursday at 12 Eastern and we drop an episode that's pre-recorded every Monday, both on podcast and on YouTube. We have a very fun episode. Today we're in summer mode, April. Okay, our kids are home from school.
Summer mode.
We're trying to survive as humans. It's 100 degrees outside in June in New Jersey right now, which is unprecedented.
What?
It's very crazy. It is
But
so humid.
Tim,
What?
you're sounding woke. Climate
Sorry.
change is a hoax.
No, you're right. You're right. It has nothing to do with the climate changing. It's just one of those weird days in New Jersey where it's
has
100
nothing to do with
degrees.
anything. Just
with
a big old
100%
coinky
humidity.
dink.
Yep, just a coinky dink. Yep, definitely. So we figured today, I'm not sure if you, dear audience, knew this, but Turning Point USA, a wonderful I can't even say that with a straight face, an organization that pushes Christian nationalist nonsense.
Yay.
An organization that I track personally very closely. I've been to a lot of their events. They had their annual Young Women's Leadership Summit, or YWLS for short. And April has pulled some clips that we're going to watch and respond to today. And we got some doozies for you.
It's going to be so fun. And you haven't seen a lot of them. So it's going to be
Nope.
blind reacting to
Yeah.
some of these. I wish the podcast people, if you're listening on podcast, you're going to be at a slight, not a disadvantage, because you're still going to hear the cringe. But this is an experience to just visualize what a lot of these women are wearing. It's like flower power, baby.
You know, I try and really temper myself when it comes to judging how people look, especially with who I am as a person. You know, I don't want to come across as unintentionally misogynistic or sexist or something. But I will say, as I was watching these clips, I was like, I'm not a fashionable person at all, but some of these outfits are just, they're way over the top, in my opinion. Like the look. It's a very specific look.
Right. And
that
people,
we're gonna
I
see.
am all about people dressing how they want to dress.
Yeah.
Actually, can we just start off? Let's just talk about the giant pink elephant in the room.
Okay.
There's the one that says, okay, it is titled Erica Kirk, Welcome to the War.
Yep.
Do you see that one?
Yep.
Pull
Oh,
that
I got
one up,
that. Oh,
'cause I think
goodness.
this one, let's just kick it off. This is
boy.
Erica Kirk, who is Charlie Kirk's wife. So
Why
if
is there a stuffed animal on the podium? Do you see
It
that
does
little
look that way.
bear thing? That
Yeah,
tiger thing?
is that a bear?
What is going on?
I don't know. I didn't watch
Okay.
her whole speech because I care about myself and my well-being.
Good. Yeah, your mental health. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So okay, she looks like she's wearing something from District 1, the Capitol, and the Hunger Games. Like, this screams flower power.
Hold on, where is it? Is it this one? Yeah, there you
Yes.
go. Yeah.
She looks like she's about to call Katniss Evergreen's name.
There is a vibe connection there for sure.
Yeah. This is why, honestly, it's less about what she's wearing. It's the combination of what she's wearing and what she's saying.
Okay.
That make it's just very funny. I don't know. I laughed. It's just a contrast because what she's saying does not match the flower frills, like the curtains she decided to drape around herself.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely is maximizing American femininity to the max, right? Like is that a fair way of putting it, right? Because She just looks
Yeah.
like she has that vibe of like, I'm a woman. I have the look.
I know. Right. It's honestly, it's this outfit in particular. I don't, because she's so serious when she talks, and it's
Okay,
like,
okay.
what are you wearing?
Do you want me to play this?
Yeah, just play it.
All right, here we go.
Here to say welcome to the spiritual war. If you're not aware of it, put on the armor, stand your post, you're a woman of the word, and when you feel isolated or unseen, go back to that blueprint. Ruth, Deborah, Hannah, Esther, Mother Mary, any of them. Go back to the blueprint. Fix your eyes on Christ, because this is not for the faint of hearts, this spiritual battle.
She should have just, like, imagine her just saying, instead of welcome to the spiritual war,
Yeah,
she
right.
said, welcome to the Hunger Games, while wearing that. Like,
I mean, some of the names that she cites in the Bible, like Ruth and Esther, didn't Esther go in front of the king to try and free her people, like the most marginalized in society? Like, didn't she stand up to empire instead of being a spokesperson for empire?
she did. Yeah.
And now listen, I'm not a Bible scholar, and I know Kip Davis watches these videos, so correct me, Kip, if you're watching this. But didn't Ruth like sleep with someone before she got married to the person as like an act of like, I don't know, defiance or something? Like, wasn't there like premarital sex or some kind of risque action involved with Ruth? Is it Ruth and Boaz? Isn't that the story in the Bible? I'm just saying, like, some of these biblical characters kind of betray the whole narrative that these turning point women try to present themselves as, you know, being these like save yourself for marriage and be a woman of the word because culture war stuff. It doesn't, I don't really know like what to do with that. It's just
It's
interesting.
also just annoying too that women can only be women in the Bible. Like, we could not emulate anybody else. It's got to be Hannah, Ruth, or Esther. And then she
That's
says,
right.
and look to Christ. Like,
Right.
what if I just want to emulate Christ and not all the women?
Well,
in
and
the
then
Bible?
she also says Mother Mary, whose claim was that God impregnated me when I wasn't married. I'm just saying, like some of these stories are incredibly scandalous in the Bible, and it's just really interesting watching Erica cite these women as people to look up to, but her ideals that she would espouse would actually be calling those women, you know, loose or woke or, you know, Marxist. It's just that's the irony about this, right? Is that these people, like, they just say these words like Michael Scott declaring bankruptcy in The Office, but there's no meaning behind them. They're in service to culture war ideology, even if they
Right.
don't actually add up or are being factual to what the text that they're claiming is actually trying to say.
Well, and the way, like, the whole spiritual war, welcome to the battle, it's not for the faint of
Yes.
hearts. Like, they make themselves out to sound so tough and like they are actually on the front lines of some sort of war while dressed like that. Well, and I don't know how much money Erica and Charlie have, but I would imagine it's quite a bit of money. They are living a very comfortable life. To come up
Oh,
there and
yeah.
act like they're being persecuted and that they are somehow like that they have anything that they need to fight for themselves, like that their rights are being taken away and that they're losing the culture, and it's just so dramatic. It's all so dramatic and just untrue. There's no Christian persecution in America.
Yeah, so Charlie Kirk's net worth is not public, but a lot of people, you know, would say he's worth a couple $1 million probably, which would make sense because Turning Point USA does $80 million a year in funding. He's sold a lot of books. He has speak here. I'm sure he charges a fee to speak. So he's probably worth a good chunk of change. And this is one of the big gripes I have with the people in this space who, to your point, April, are like making these claims about being in a war and how tough it is. Like, you have a nanny. You have security around you. You're not worried about covering the cost of any unexpected healthcare bills. Like, people drive you around. It's really easy to say all this when all of your needs are taken care of. And your husband runs an organization that is so powerful. It helps shape elections, and he has the number of the current president on speed dial. Like, wow, you really are oppressed in this country, aren't you? You're so close to power, and you really think that you're in some kind of battle. It's unbelievable. It is shocking. Like, wow.
Yeah, it's... Well, do you want to watch a few more of
Oh,
these,
hell yeah, April. Hell
little
yeah.
clips?
Yeah. We're just getting warmed up. All right. Which
And
one do I go
just
to
for the
next?
did we already say this is from the women's summit that they had?
Yeah.
What was it? A week ago, 2 weeks
A
ago?
couple weeks ago. Yeah, it was sometime over the summer.
It was in June.
You pulled a bunch. Do you want to go to Ali Stuckey next? We can do more
Sure.
Erica.
Yeah, there was a. I mean, there just go down the list, you know.
Let's go back
just
to
see-
Erica
let's
and knock
see
out
where
a
we
few more of
go.
these. Here's
Sure.
one. You called this one motherhood over career. Here we go. Let's see.
Everything changes. When I met Charlie, that was it. I could care less about the career. It was a beautiful moment. And that's why I just want to plant the seed of encouragement, because motherhood it's not a pause. A lot of people think it's a pause. In your life, it's a launch pad. It's not something where you feel like, you wasted your degree. You're not wasting a degree when you're raising your children with wisdom, love, and truth. That's not wasting a degree at all.
I remember when I was a new mom after I had my oldest daughter, and actually we're recording this on her 9th birthday. So
happy
I've been a mom
birthday.
for 9 years. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you to her.
She's
Yeah.
so cute, by the way. Both your daughters are adorable.
Thank you.
You're
They,
welcome.
I mean, I would agree with that, but I'm biased. But I remember feeling like I completely lost myself. And I
Yes.
had an identity crisis, and I loved being a mom. I like my kids became my entire world, but it was a pause. I stopped working. Like, we were fortunate enough that we made ends meet by Beecher's salary, and I stayed home while they were little. But it was really hard. Like, I felt like I had lost who I was. I felt like my entire identity was in my children, and I was unfulfilled. And then I felt guilty about feeling unfulfilled because of rhetoric like what Erica was just talking about, that
Yep.
it's not a pause. It's the most beautiful thing you could ever do. And I remember after I kind of came out of the fog, I was kind of pissed because from a young age, like as far back as I can remember, growing up in this world, because I grew up hearing these exact same lectures and speeches.
Same.
As far back as I can remember, it was that my entire purpose would be in being a mom, and that once I became a mom, I wouldn't want anything else.
Yep.
And then I felt guilty because I did want other things. I loved being a mom, and I also wanted to do what I was good at with my other talents and do all this stuff. And I remember being so mad because no one ever once told me how hard motherhood is and how it
100%.
just sucks your life force out of you, where you become, your needs no longer matter. Your wants no longer matter. You become basically a doormat for everybody else. And I was willing to do that, but it sucked a lot of the time. I didn't get to do anything fun for a very, very long time. And that really does take a toll. And I don't think it's doing anybody any favors by glamorizing motherhood. Like, it's just this like flowery picture perfect. You come down the stairs, your baby is smiling, and your baby sleeps. My children did not sleep. I was a walking zombie for a solid year. Like, honestly, I'm still annoyed by it all, because I didn't get that rosy picture perfect idea of what I thought motherhood was. And when I wasn't enjoying it, I felt so much guilt over that.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, Sarah and I had the same exact conversations to a T, because you're right. I mean, she has told me this, like, she feels like she's lost herself, of course. And look, there's always the foundation, right, of we love our kids. I love being a dad. She loves being a mom. But there's a real cost, especially for women, right? Because why is it acceptable that I should have other passions and careers and love my kids, but my partner should only find her fulfillment in being this mother all the time, 24/7. Like, why is that? Doesn't make any sense, because Sarah's also a human with other desires beyond just being a mom. But for some reason, she has to be a mom only, and a good wife to me, of course. But I can have a career and I can do things online. That's my passion. Plus, I'm a good dad. As if like I can hold space for both, but my partner can't. I think the other thing too is that, look, and we don't talk about this nearly enough. We live in a hyper individualistic culture. And I am of the opinion that we are not meant to raise children alone in nuclear families, especially in a system where people can't make ends meet working 2 full-time jobs, 3 full-time jobs sometimes, right? How do you expect one person to make enough money in America right now when everything is so expensive and so unaffordable, debt is rising, we can't get affordable health care? You expect that the average American who works a full-time job will get enough money to cover expenses for them, their partner, and 1 to 3 kids, and everything is just hunky-dory? Are you joking? Like, unless you're in the upper class like Erica and Charlie, where you have all this money and you have people who can help you, it's unattainable. And then we're not taught to be in community with each other, right? So we don't know how to, like, help people with their kids at times. A lot of people don't have family around. We're fortunate. Sarah's parents are around, and so are my parents. They'll watch the kids for us for a weekend so we can get that time. But a lot of people don't have they don't have that luxury. And I just find it so ridiculous to over-romanticize parenthood, especially motherhood, as just something that will complete you one day. Like, that's just not how it works. Like, it's almost kind of like the lie of, if you save yourself for marriage, you're guaranteed to have the best sex of your life forever. Yeah, and like,
you're right.
Yeah, like me and Sarah did that. We saved ourselves, right? And like after we had sex, we were like, wow, that was really great. But I didn't feel like, oh my God, I'm like magically fulfilled now. Like, I don't know how I survive without it. It wasn't that at all. And it's so aggravating to watch these people sell this mirage to young women in particular who are taught this stuff and are given like ridiculous odds at not being able to do what they're saying you need to do. It's just, it's wild to me. It's wild.
Yeah. And I remember too, like, I would be so tired and I would, it is a weird thing, because I do love being a mom, and I loved my kids. And I feel like you have to give that caveat, because there's so much judgment for moms, especially from other moms too. Like, if you complain, they're like, somehow you're a terrible mom because you're admitting you're not enjoying your life. Right. But I remember I would be talking to like my, like other moms in my family about how hard it was. And they all just laughed. Like, it was just my turn to pay the piper, and it, like, they all knew the whole time. And I was pissed. I was like, you knew it was this hard and y'all never told me? like right. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I really was shocked at how hard it was. I was not prepared at all.
For sure. Watching Sarah try to breastfeed for the first time, having troubles with that. Like, there's just so many things. Totally. Yes. I mean, watching Sarah give birth, I was like, oh my God, like, women do this regularly. Like this just happens. Like, and then I thought, why does our society denigrate women as like weak creatures when like they're birthing children? Like, it blew my mind, right? Yeah, and I'm with you. Like, watching Sarah go through a lot of those things, and watching her, go through postpartum, all those things. Like, it takes a real toll. And then you're just expected to like always be mentally present all the time for your kids, and then somehow also satisfy all the needs of your husband whenever he needs them satisfied, and clean and cook and do this and do that. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. The math ain't mathing. This dream that they sell is quite literally, for some people, not a dream. And that's assuming, April, that you have a good partner in your life, right? We're fortunate. Right. We both have great spouses that like are supportive, and like, vice versa. But a lot of folks don't have that luxury. Some are single moms. Some have partners who are totally checked out. Yeah, anyway.
And it's also really dismissive of women who are infertile or have fertility issues. Like,
right.
Then you have women who feel like they cannot fulfill their call as a woman, and for no fault of their own. And that can lead to like deep depression and more judgment. It's just
Yeah.
it's just so judgmental. The whole thing, but it's wrapped in this idea of like, oh no, we're the ones who love family values by
Right.
enforcing motherhood on everybody.
Right.
But that's like there's some people that just don't want to be moms, and that's
That's right.
fine. That's great.
And that's all we're saying, by the way. We're
Yeah.
not saying you shouldn't have kids or you should have kids. We're simply saying people should have the option to do with their life what they want. And some people want to have a family and some don't. And either way, that's fine. That's fine. You know, women are more than capable of doing all kinds of things, not just having babies. And that's great. That's great. But for this world, because of how they see Genesis 1 and 2 and the Bible and the order of creation and this like weird, you know, how God has structured society, they believe that women have to fit into this mold of like housekeeper and just essentially breeder in a lot of ways, just pop out the kids. And it is just really unhealthy in so many ways.
Yeah.
All right.
Shall we move on to another one?
Sure. You want
man.
to go over to you want to get real angry and watch Allie be sucky?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
I just did a video responding to her take on immigration over on the New Evangelicals, and man, her and Matt Walsh are probably the top two for me that just drive me absolutely bonkers with how they talk. It drives me bonkers. All right, here's Allie Stuckey. Let's hear what she has to say.
Here's how you know if your empathy is positive or if it has become toxic. 3 ways. Your empathy becomes toxic when it encourages you to validate lies, to affirm sin, or to support destructive policies.
Wait, can we pause? Wait, can we play it back? Can I just restart that? So I want to make sure I did not misunderstand what she just said. Let's just back that up. Okay, one more time.
If it has become toxic. Here's how you know if your empathy is positive or if it has become toxic.
Okay.
3 ways.
All right, I'm ready.
Your empathy becomes toxic when it encourages you to validate lies, to affirm sin, or to support destructive policies.
Wow.
Hold on. I feel like we should be holding up a mirror.
Yeah.
Because, Allie, you've just described the entire MAGA movement.
Like to a T.
To a T.
T. Yes. Lies?
Lies? Like Donald Trump lies every single day?
Like the lie that the 2020 election was stolen? That lie?
Yeah.
Destructive policies like kidnapping parents, destroying their families, shipping them off to countries that they shouldn't be shipped off to for no reason.
How about bombing countries without congressional approval?
Yeah. How about
Destructive?
inciting your own followers to try and hang the vice president via an insurrection?
How about affirming the sin of idolatry, like all these people that worship Donald Trump as some sort of savior?
And greed, the sin of greed.
Yeah.
The sin of pride and envy and conceit. Oh, okay. Wow, Allie. Yeah. You know what, Allie? I agree. Allie and I agree on this.
So far, so good.
That is when
Amen. I'll applaud.
your empathy has turned toxic. Toxic empathy is the primary tool of persuasion used by progressives to manipulate well-meaning Christians. They
Allie,
use toxic empathy by
progressives can
employing...
be Christian.
Yeah.
I say
Yeah.
hate the whole idea that they cannot admit that progressives are also Christian.
You literally have to deny so much of like American Christianity and really even historical Christianity, because for them progressive is social justice oriented. You know, you're thinking about wealth redistribution from the ultra rich. Those are very classic Christian ideals beyond the American political system of left and right. Like, I hate to break it to Allie, even the Bible, I mean, James 5, right? This scathing critique saying, woe to you rich people who hoard wealth. Judgment is coming to you because you don't pay your workers a fair wage. You steal from them. This is like biblical, but for Allie, that's just woke progressive ideology that leads to toxic empathy. All right, let's finish her clip here.
They use toxic empathy by employing our language, our Bible verses, our concepts, and then pervert them to morally extort us into adopting their position.
Okay, you know what's interesting about this clip? She uses the word our Bible, our verses, as if she's the only, her and her tribe are the true Christians, and everyone outside of her bubble and her tribe, they're not real Christians. So they're hijacking her text. They're hijacking her beliefs. They're hijacking her Bible, right? What I mean, if that's not the textbook, colonization or colonized attitude, that everything is mine and ours, my tribes.
Newsflash, Allie. We use your language and your Bible because it's our Bible too. Jeez Louise. I liked her outfit. Her outfit was less Hunger Games and more like Mother's Day brunch.
This looks like I don't want to make anyone upset, but this is no shade. It's real. It looks like a nice Target outfit.
I think it's nicer than Target.
Oh, no, I don't know. I think Target is fashionable. What do I know?
Yeah, I mean, it is. Yeah, I could see it. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe Kohl's? Kohl's? Is Kohl's higher grade?
I don't know. I just feel like I don't know
H&M?
that I feel like Allie Beth has boycotted Target since the bathroom bill in like 2014 or whatever
for
that
sure.
was.
I'm just saying though, I could see someone being like, "Oh, thanks, I got this at department retailer." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool, yeah, it looks good." Yeah,
it's fine. There's nothing necessarily weird about the outfit. Just wanted to say.
It's
And so I went hard on the other one, but I feel like the other one deserved it. So.
Okay, man, this is all in one event, right? What else?
Yeah.
Man, we have so many clips. Sheesh. You want to go? Oh, okay. You know what? Let's do this one. Let's do Riley Gaines.
Oh gosh.
I haven't seen this one.
Okay.
I gotta say. Okay, you go first. You go first.
I was just gonna say, if you don't know, she got into some beef with Simone Biles on Twitter, and that's what she's referencing here.
Yes.
Simone called her out for being transphobic and hateful, and had some kind of snarky comments that were a little rude. But honestly, Riley is awful, and
Riley,
she could deserve to be knocked down a couple notches. She's terrible. Like honestly, out of all, I can't stand a lot of these women. She's one of the ones at the top of the list. Like her vendetta against trans people because she tied for 5th place once.
Yep.
Is seriously so wild.
Riley is the epitome of MAGA victimization. She runs around parading herself as a victim of the, quote, trans agenda when she tied 5th place with Leah Thomas, a trans woman who's also a swimmer. And she has made a lucrative career out of that victimhood complex that she tied for. Friends, I'm not exaggerating. She didn't tie 3rd, 2nd, 1st, which either way, who cares? She tied for 5th. And she parades herself around as the world's biggest victim of women or trans women in sports. It is, and she is so brutal online. She is so cruel. Simone, by the way, she apologized on Twitter and for her comments, and MAGA was like, "No way, we're not accepting it. Absolutely not," which is so typical, right? MAGA people like Riley, like Allie, like Megan Basham, they will hurl insults at their enemies all day. They will never accept responsibility for what they say as being hurtful, right? But the second their political opponent does acknowledge that what they said was hurtful, they only pile on. There's no winning with them because they're not here in good faith. So anyway, that is the preface for this. Yeah.
If I'm remembering correctly, this whole thing started because Riley Gaines quote tweeted, I think it was a high school softball team of minors that had a trans girl on the team and was just bullying the high school team. And of course, she's got a lot of followers on Twitter, so her whole mob is going and just attacking this random high school and high school girls, and Simone was defending the team because she was literally going after children at that point.
By the way, it looks like Simone deleted her X account.
Really?
That's what this says according to the New York Post. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. And Riley tweeted it and went and made a comment, made another jab at her after doing that. God, insufferable. Anyway.
Okay, well, anyway, let's just watch the stupid clip.
That's the wrong one. Where am I? Here we go. Okay.
Oh.
This is 2.5 minutes long. Jesus.
But that wasn't enough from Simone. She
Hold on,
went on
just
to then
pause.
say,
Just pause. Not only has she tweeted about this endlessly, but she gets one speech that she's a speaker at this conference, and she uses it to air her own personal vendetta against Simone Biles.
They are
It's just
so childish.
petty. Yes.
Petty.
God.
I mean,
All right.
Bully someone your own size, which would ironically be a man. Couple things. Really, this made me chuckle, if you will, almost ironically, for three main reasons. Number one, she was admitting, I don't know if she realized this is what she was doing, she was admitting that men and women are physically, biologically, and categorically different by that statement. Again, don't know if she realized that. Number two, this is a woman who has faced severe scrutiny because of her body, because of her muscular stature. Of course, she's someone who, her career, what she's been able to do, all that she has accomplished is illustrious, to say the least. The best of the best. She's in a league of her own, bar none. And none of her comments take anything away from that. But if anyone would understand what it's like, maybe she was calling me muscular, if anyone would understand what it's like to be muscular, you would imagine it would be Simone Biles, no? Maybe she was saying, I'm tall, I'm 5'5".
Why are we talking about this?
Might seem like a giant to someone who is 4'8", but I would
Yeah.
consider 5'5" relatively standard.
For a second, pause for a second.
I'm pausing.
You will not guess how this clip ends.
Okay.
Just gonna say
Yeah,
that.
I don't know where she's going. I'm like, why are you talking about this? Like, this sounds like you should be at coffee with a girlfriend talking about this, But instead, you're in front of all these people. All right, let's see.
For women. But I think the funniest thing about this to me, and her saying, bully someone your own size, which would ironically be a man. How many men do you know that have this?
She announced that she's pregnant.
So pause. She just pulled out sonogram pictures from an ultrasound and is announcing she's pregnant. Can you just imagine? She just attacked Simone Biles and went on a tirade about trans people in sports, because that's her whole thing. I mean, she didn't say it explicitly, but that's what she's saying. And she used that to announce her pregnancy. Can you just imagine when that kid gets older, like, Mommy, how did you publicly announce when you were pregnant with me? She's like, well, honey, I went after Simone Biles and trans people.
I went after one of the most decorated Olympians of maybe in human history. And I tied 5th place with a trans person, and that was my vendetta. And I announced that I was pregnant. Ta-da!
It's insufferable. It's insufferable. And congrats on your baby.
Sure, for sure. Yeah,
but man,
there's more to this clip. Should I keep going, or is that it?
I don't remember where she goes from here, but sure,
let's find
why not?
out.
Let's see.
Everyone's cheering.
Look at all the MAGA hats. Gross.
I know. So wild.
Oh my goodness.
She's crying.
So clapping. Okay, she's crying.
This has been the hardest secret in the world for me to keep. And of course, I can't help but find myself just overly emotional, of course, so excited for what this means for the future. Seeing all of you here, understanding that you're fighting for our child's future.
Okay, that's it. Okay, very nice.
Yeah.
Also, you know what? I'm just gonna move on because I could be there all day talking about that situation. Gosh.
Her outfit, I would say, also could live in District 1.
No, I would agree. With that. Yeah. Not that I know anything about this, but
That's what we're, I'm going to judge all these outfits on whether or not it would be in District 1 of the Hunger Games or not.
Who do you want to go to next? There's some more Erica clips. There's Charlie Kirk clips. I guess Charlie spoke to the crowd.
Charlie did. Charlie, I think, was the sole male that
Well, of course,
had a
of course,
speaking
of course.
role, which is opposite of what they want, actually.
You want to do this one of him talking about the Mrs. degree?
Oh gosh, yeah, the
This one
MRS
kinda
degree.
This one went a little viral. All right, here we go.
Hi, Charlie. I'm Addie, and I'm 14. I'm a freshman in high school, and I was wondering, as someone who has like a different opinion on college, what would you say the pros and cons are? Because I'm interested in political journalism, and what would your advice be?
Yes. So let me also speak to some of the young ladies here in high school, where your top, if you are, who's here where your top priority? Your top priority is get married and have kids. Raise your hand. Okay. Interestingly, I think there is an argument to bring back the MRS degree. And no, seriously. And just be clear, that's why you're going to college, right? Don't lie to yourself, I'm studying sociology. No, you're not. We know why you're here. And that's okay, actually.
Wait, what? Is he saying, is he saying that you should go to college to get a real degree in MRS, like a Mrs. degree? Is that what he's saying?
I mean, yes, but that's not a real degree.
That's not a real degree.
And that still exists. Like, I don't know why he's saying bring it back. There are still, especially in Christian colleges, there are plenty of girls that are going there just
And then
to
he's
find a
telling this
husband.
14-year-old girl who says that she wants to go to college for political science that she's really going there just to find a partner?
Yes, that is what
Okay.
he's saying.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
to his, I guess she did raise her hand when he asked if that's your number one goal is to have
Yeah.
a wife and children, or be a husband and children.
Gosh, okay.
And that's a really good reason to go to college, actually, especially an SEC school. Like, you will find a husband if you have the
Especially
intent to find a
SEC.
husband. And
What is SEC?
The Southeastern Conference?
I don't know what that is.
Football? You don't watch college
Oh,
football?
No,
SEC?
no.
Alabama?
No,
Kentucky,
that's not a thing.
Florida.
In the Northeast, we don't. It's not a thing at all.
Okay, but people in the Northeast at least know the SEC.
I
It's
didn't
like
go
the
to
best
college.
football conference.
Okay.
You don't have to go to college to know
I'm
the
sorry.
SEC.
Well, I know now. So Charlie's saying if you go to an SEC school, you're guaranteed to find a partner, and that's one of the best reasons to go to college. That feels like a really expensive way to find a husband.
Yeah.
Seems like a lot of.
Also,
I mean,
I'm surprised he said SEC school though, and not some Christian.
well, I'm
college.
just saying, like, pragmatically, spend. You can spend like maybe $500 on Tinder, whatever, plus or double plus or something, as opposed to like $30,000 a year for a college degree just to find a husband. I'm just throwing that out there.
Also, there's zero guarantee you're gonna find a husband. I didn't get married. I didn't find anybody in my undergrad. I met Beecher in grad school.
Mm.
That's even like extra money that I
Gosh.
had to spend.
So college is, according to Charlie, because he wrote a book on this called College is a Scam, but also you should go to college to find a husband because you're guaranteed to find one, especially if you go to an SEC school. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
like, it's just going to happen, okay? Or wherever. Yeah, there you go, see? Or at University of Alabama. But there you go. But I always laugh because, and by the way, we should bring back the celebration of the MRS degree, which is, no, seriously,
So
I mean, if
misogynistic.
you think about it, like, I say college is a scam, but if you're going to find your life partner, like, that's actually a really good reason to go to college.
Oh, so it's not a scam, Charlie.
You have a bunch of people that are single, they're at the prime of their, let's just say attractiveness. The dating pool is as robust as you'll ever find, and they all live together over a 4-year period. Like, you don't get much better than that, okay? It doesn't get better after college there. And so, yeah, you could go learn some stuff. That's fine, I guess, or whatever. Just don't listen to your professors. But
What is he? How does this guy have so much influence in politics when he's so foolish? That's as incoherent as a statement that Trump would make. What is this guy talking about?
Go to college, but don't listen to your professors. I guess do a little learning.
Yeah,
But
but
find
really,
your partner.
yeah, but you're going what? I mean, if Charlie, just tell her to go to a good church. Like just play the typical Christian line here. That makes more sense than what you just said about college. Like, what are you doing? Wow. Haha.
that actually was the reason why a lot of women went to college in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and it worked for a lot. Marriage rates have plummeted since that. So,
okay, no, what? That isn't the main when the feminist movement really exploded, especially in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, women were going to get educated. They were going to be educated, Charlie, not to find a husband primarily. I mean, if it works out, great. But usually, I don't know, you go to college to learn stuff from professors who know stuff. God, I don't know what to do with that, April.
It's so misogynistic. The idea that did he go and talk to all those women in the 70s, 80s, and 90s
Right.
and ask them what was your main reason for going to college?
This
I
dude
bet
was
you
born in the 90s.
they would not say MRS degree. I mean, maybe some of them would. I definitely knew girls, the Christian colleges I went to, who were there to find a husband, but most of the girls that I knew were very serious about getting their degree and starting a career.
Sure.
As I was. Like, it's so I will say, though, that rhetoric is not new. At my Christian college, there was jokes all the time from professors, from chapel speakers about how the girls were there to get MRS degrees, which is just so dismissive of just women as people. Like, we are capable of learning. And I mean, no offense to men, but I think the world would be in a much better place if women were the ones in charge.
Well, I'll put it this way. We've tried having men in charge for a long time, and it really ain't working out. So
it's not the best.
Let's change it up.
We could try it at least.
Something tells me that if Harris was president, we would not have bombed Iran a week or two ago. I'm just saying, like, chances are we probably would not have dropped bombs on another sovereign nation. Just throwing that out there.
I think you're right.
I'm no expert.
Yeah, no expert, but you just never know.
This is a longer clip you have of Charlie talking about immigration. You want to do that one?
Yeah, actually, I think this one's gonna rile you up.
Oh boy. Okay.
My name is Kayla. I'm from Austin, Texas, and I wanted to say I'm very excited to be here. I need, I guess, advice and a question on if you know people, Christians specifically, in your life who say you're unchristian-like or not a Christian if you don't agree with what's going on with the immigration or illegal immigrants, and they use Leviticus 19:33 through 34 as their argument to say you're unchristlike if you believe that illegal immigrants should be deported. What would you say to that?
Well, first of all, let's see how much they actually believe the Bible. So say, oh, you want to talk about Leviticus 19. Do you know that in Leviticus 18, it says that homosexuality is wrong and that a man shall not lay with another man?
I'm already mad.
This is so infuriating because
I'm already mad.
One, it's the same playbook where they're like, you can't critique me, even if your critique is valid, but you can't critique me unless you believe what I believe.
Not to mention...
then two...
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Two, he's saying, well, if they believe that but don't believe this other verse and they interpret it the way that I interpret it, then they're cherry picking. But he's literally just admitting that he is also cherry picking. Because he follows the one but not the other.
Exactly. Like, are you kidding me? Do you hear yourself, Charlie? Also, there are dozens of other verses in the Bible that command Christians and the people of God to welcome the immigrant, welcome the stranger.
Personally, I like to use Jesus' own teachings where he says, I was a stranger, you did not welcome me.
Right.
And they say, Lord, when were you a stranger? We did not welcome you.
Right.
I tell you this, whatever you do to the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you do to me. That's the verse I use.
And what Ali Sucky would say as well, Jesus was talking about how you're supposed to treat other Christians, which I would say you do know that most of the immigrants that are being kicked out of this country are Christian, right?
I know.
Like there's an actual study that was done that most are Catholic or evangelical or not, and then the groups are this: 54% are Catholic, 15% are non-religious, and 13% are evangelical. So even if that interpretation was accurate, you're still harming your brothers and sisters.
I know.
Okay, we're only 30 seconds in. All right, I can do this.
just trying to cherry pick Leviticus verses that fit your political agenda. So if they believe that
Like,
too, then
you
fine.
don't do that.
Yeah,
Jordan.
no shit,
But
Charlie.
I find that,
No
and
shit.
then finally, secondly, if they're a Christian, you should answer their question. If they're not a Christian, just roll your eyes, be like, why do you, who don't believe in what I believe, have to justify what I believe to you, where you're just trying to deconstruct my faith? I think it's largely a waste of time. But if it's a Christian, that means well. So look, the
Pause.
verse. Look,
Charlie, okay. I saw someone recently that made this point. Oh, Joseph View. Do you follow?
Yes.
He is a Episcopal priest. In Texas, and he made this TikTok that is so true. And I've thought about it before, but the way he worded it was great. But he basically was saying that evangelicals and MAGA in general, Christian nationalists, have you heard how they accuse all the protesters of being paid? Like,
Yes.
genuinely believe we're all being
Yes.
paid for protesting. And he was saying it's because they cannot fathom the idea of trying to help somebody else without any personal benefit.
Yep.
Like, the
Yep.
idea of empathy, that you would speak up on behalf of someone else. Like, and he's like, why would a Christian do that? That's stupid. Like, why would you care what I do? We care because you're harming people.
Exactly. And the reason why a non-Christian might ask you about this is because your theology is responsible for harming maybe their neighbors, right? The reason why Kilmar Abrego Garcia got kicked out of the country is because of Christian nationalist rhetoric like this that now has real power in politics. That's why, Charlie. That's why. And what's Charlie's answer? Oh, we don't owe them an explanation. No, you do. You do.
Right. And suddenly he's like, why do you care what I believe? Because you're trying to shove your beliefs down everybody's throats.
Literally.
You're trying to legislate your own morality for everybody. You're not saying, I can't do that because it goes against my beliefs. You're literally ripping children out of their parents' arms because of your beliefs. So frustrating. Sorry.
1933 is to love the foreigner because you were once a foreigner in their land. I think that's right, correct? Some approximate.
Aren't you a Christian,
So
Charlie?
it is true. Throughout the Bible, the verses that are most used by pastors when it comes to immigration is about loving the foreigner and loving that person that might come into your land. Interesting.
Okay, so really quick, even Charlie admits the Bible says that. Okay, so the Bible that Charlie claims is infallible and is the Word of God and lights the path of the believer, he admits the Bible says those things. Now let's watch him justify why they don't apply to our current situation.
In ancient Israel,
Here we go.
there were two different words for foreigner. I think it's like zur and mer. I could be wrong. But it basically, one word would mean that which assimilates and that which does not assimilate. But did you know there's an equal amount of verses that person might not tell you, like Deuteronomy 28, I think that's about right, where it says, be careful who you let into your gates because they one day can become your masters. The whole idea of borders.
That verse that he just cited has no relevance to what's happening in this country right now. Let's just start from that. Actually, let's be really clear. The Hebrew Bible in particular, in fact, the whole Bible, should not be legislating or shaping American U.S. policy. Okay, let's just start with that framework. Are there maybe themes that we should consider about generosity and kindness and hospitality? For sure, okay? And as Christians, we can advocate for those things. That's all legit. But Charlie cites that verse about warning who you let into your gates because they might become your masters, as if, right, the immigrants in our country right now are somehow like plotting to overthrow our government and take over and like be in charge of who? And this is Charlie's deeper rhetoric, is that he's constantly obsessed with protecting who he thinks are the true Americans from foreign invaders. This is the language that he uses. Mm-hmm. And ultimately what it means is that white people need to remain always in charge, and brown-skinned people, especially foreign brown-skinned people, need to stay in their place. It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. It's a complete misapplication of that verse anyway. It has no bearing on what's happening in American politics. Oh, God, he's just insufferable. Like, talk about cherry picking. Okay, we'll continue.
Is a Christian and biblical idea. Let's look at one of my favorite books of the Bible, which I think is Trump's favorite book of the Bible, because it's all about building the wall. It's
Nehemiah.
Build the Wall. It's the book of Nehemiah. The entire book of Nehemiah is about building the walls around Jerusalem, building the walls.
Which we have, by the way.
Now, did they build the walls because they hated people outside, or because they loved the holy covenant that God gave them and they needed to protect it against the threats outside?
So bad.
The whole idea, though, of expelling those in your land, it says very clear in the book of Deuteronomy that these are the guide stones of your nation. If you are to move a single stone, you'll be expelled outside of the nation.
Notice how Charlie is so slick with how he pushes aside verses that say welcome the foreigner in the same book, by the way, and then highlights verses that justify his political position in America, which is such a misapplication. Again, we're not Israel. Yeah. We're not the Hebrew people. We are not Israelites, right? We are not in the context and culture of why those books were written at all. But Charlie can take those things and somehow apply them to American policy. But the second Christians talk about, well, the Bible does command us to welcome the foreigner. Well, we really can't take that into consideration here. Like it is the epitome of cherry picking. Oh my God. Like it's insufferable to watch him do this with such confidence. Oh,
just notice too how long it's taking him to answer this question. Because it's not an easy question. Because they have the mental gymnastics that Charlie is doing in real time right now to be like, well, look at the book of Nehemiah, and like literally brings up homosexuality in Leviticus, which has nothing to do with this question at all. Because there's no good answer. Because I bet deep down Charlie knows that the Bible wants him to welcome the immigrant.
Right.
Like he's having to twist himself all up just to kind of find a biblical reason for being as inhumane as the Trump administration is being.
By the way, not to mention, America can figure anything it wants out, period. Yeah. If Trump wanted to carve a path for people who were here undocumented to have a pathway to some kind of legal status, they could make it happen. Obviously they can. Obviously they can, because they can find people in churches, but they don't want that. This is not about making room, which, by the way, America has plenty of room. We're the most prosperous country in the world. We have the most wealth in the world. There's plenty of resources in physical room and economic room for immigrants. In fact, immigrants, I would argue, make the country so much more beautiful and diverse and better, okay? They don't want that, though. They want a country that is predominantly white and that is run by whiteness, the culture of whiteness and white supremacy, which is why they create, Scott Colby calls them legitimizing narratives, stories that justify, right, why this position is correct, because it keeps us at the top of this political food chain and economic food chain. That's all this is. This is one big roundabout way of trying to give this person who asked the question some kind of biblical grounds for why kidnapping people and shipping them off to countries that they have no like connection to is somehow the biblical approach, when it's clearly not.
And what is so infuriating too is we are watching indoctrination happen in real time. I can't tell how old that girl is that asked the question, but she looks pretty young.
Yep.
And I remember asking similar questions when I was around her age and getting similar, roundabout, twisted answers like Charlie is giving, but it was enough for me to put my own doubts aside and keep on keeping on. 100%. If this person who I view as a spiritual authority is saying this and is using a Bible verse or using a book of the Bible to do it, even if it doesn't fully make sense, it was enough. I could put it back on the shelf and I never had to think about it until faced with another predicament again. Like it's so. This side also screams about the left indoctrinating children, but they're the ones indoctrinating the youth right here. We're seeing that.
Right here.
So let's kind of go through the thinking when it comes to immigration.
Go ahead, Charlie.
Which is very important. We are a nation, and nations are a godly idea. We know this because in Genesis 12.
Oh, my God.
Genesis 11, I'm sorry. Nimrod wanted to create a city and a tower to his own name. We call this the Tower of Babel story. And he says, I want to have a one world government.
That's not what he says.
Collected together.
That's not what he says, Charlie. God.
He scattered them amongst the peoples and the languages of the world. Nations and border states has always been a uniquely biblical idea.
No, even the way we think about nations and states today have nothing to do with how the ancient world organized, period. Like, they are different things entirely. Oh my God, this is horrific. This is so bad. This is so bad.
See, the Roman Empire wanted to take over the entire world. Alexander the Great wanted to take over the entire world. The idea of boundaries and borders is actually rooted in humility, that we don't run the entire planet. That we have a jurisdiction that we are here to steward and we're here to look after.
But Charlie doesn't believe that. Charlie believes that America is the greatest country on earth. We have military bases all over the world. We just bombed a sovereign nation. And Charlie Kirk, by the way, the guy who literally a month ago was talking about the DC warmongers who are going to drive us into chaos by bombing in the Middle East, turned around and praised Trump for bombing Iran, right? This dude is built on supremacy. The people he hangs out with want America to continue to expand its empire. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this guy says this stuff with a straight face. There's nothing humble or meek about American empire and American propaganda and make America great again. It's all built on pride and arrogance and this idea that we are exceptional and the rest of the nations all suck. Oh my goodness. Goodness gracious.
I can't decide if I think Charlie Kirk actually believes what he's saying or not. I go back and forth. There's some people that are genuine about what they say, and I think most people probably in the audience are. But like, Charlie seems really smart, and he flip-flops a lot when it fits.
Oh, so
his
much.
Platform,
so much.
Which makes
so
me
much.
think that, I don't know. That for one, he was big on the Trump starting no new wars thing, and now suddenly he's pro Trump bombing Iran.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, we shared the tweets. We shared the tweets last week. You can go to the New Evangelicals Twitter or Threads account and see the A and B comparison from just like 2 months apart in April and June. It's a 180. Because for Charlie and for Christian nationalism, the only thing that matters is whatever maintains their power and control. There is no integrity here. There's no actual value here of love or justice or even truth-telling. Everything is always in service to maintaining the dominant position, right? Yeah. So when it makes sense to say we don't want more wars, Trump is going to be the president of peace, who's going to keep us out of the DC elite warmongering cabinet. But when Trump bombs Iran, oh, this is great. Iran gave us no choice. We had to do it. Wait. Yeah. So the ethic isn't war or no war. The ethic is, oh, our guy did it, so it's okay now. That's the ethic. Right.
So now let's go to this issue of justice and fairness. Also in Leviticus 19, it's funny, they love to use Leviticus 19. You should say, wait a second. What if I told you that in the administration of justice, you shall not favor a rich person or a poor person? That's in Leviticus 19. Basically saying justice is blind. So you should respond to your friend and say, do you believe that when we administer justice, the laws, we should not give favor to poor people because they're poor? And if they say no, then they don't believe in Leviticus 19. Meaning, immigration law must be enforced to everybody, regardless of the sob story that they give.
Notice how he weaponizes this. God damn it, Charlie. You gotta be kidding me. Let's go ahead. Sorry.
The fact that he's like, there should be no favoritism and we should be deporting people across the board. Like, that's basically what he's saying, right?
That's what he's saying.
How does he then justify all the white Afrikaners that Trump just rolled out the red carpet for?
Totally. Or Elon Musk, who was here illegally when he first got here, working illegally. Right. Or we can even go broader. How come you think that Trump's conviction was a sham then?
I don't know. I don't even understand what point he's making. That doesn't even make sense in the context of this conversation.
American justice is not blind. People with real power and connection to good lawyers and money have an inherent advantage against poor people, usually. Mm-hmm. And that's why Trump is able to do what he does, right? He's able to tie things up in court forever because he has such an army of lawyers and money behind him compared to the average Joe who could never do such a thing, right? Charlie, you can't even apply that ideal consistently because if you did it, it would betray MAGA. It would betray MAGA. Why was Trump not charged criminally for the insurrection? Like, why? And by the way, I need to say one thing. This whole premise is so flawed because, for example, the Haitian immigrants who were here legally that J.D. Vance said weren't here legally because we don't like how they came in through the Biden administration, that's just making things up as you go. They were here legally. Many people, and Kilmar Abrego Garcia was here legally. The courts knew he was here. My friend Muhammad, his family, who has a pending court case still for 9 years, they've had a pending court case with their immigration status just saying pending. They're here doing it the right way. They're here. And ICE still raided their business. And then they had a court case recently, and the judge pushed their court case back another 5 years. I'm sorry, 4 years, 2029. There are so many people who are going through the system the right way. They're following the rules, but the rules are so screwed up. Nothing is consistent. The courts are backlogged. And again, we could fix it. The political system could look at our immigration apparatus and say, okay, how do we streamline this? How do we make it more efficient? How do we handle more cases? How do we give people better resources to do deep dives into people so we know people who we're letting in, have no criminal record? We could do all that. Remember, don't forget, Joe Biden tried to pass comprehensive immigration reform, and Trump called all those people in Congress and told them to kill the bill because it didn't look good for his campaign, and they did.
True.
So like it's so disingenuous. They create these problems. They create a screwed up immigration system. Immigrants try and go through the right process: asylum, refugee status, a visa, student visa, and Trump still kidnaps them. Trump has kidnapped students on student visas. That's legal status, Charlie. So it's not about the ideal of, we have all these illegal people here. That's not the case in so many of these examples. Oh, my goodness.
And if these people are worried about the economy, too, which a lot of them claim they are, I feel like it makes more economical sense instead of spending the millions and millions and millions of dollars and boosting ICE's budget to deport all of these people and do all of these raids, which cost money. It costs money to deport people.
Right.
It would cost far less to just accelerate their legal status and get them to be full citizens where they're paying the full amount of taxes, or they can really embed. Like that's more beneficial to the economy.
To everyone. It's more beneficial to employers. It's beneficial to the workers themselves. It's beneficial for the government. Yes, legalize them. Have them pay the full amount of taxes and get the full benefits of being in the system, right? And also, by the way, you notice how none of the narrative that we're seeing is about the employers and the corporations that employ these people, right? They get off the hook scot-free. They got to pay them unfair labor, unfair wages. Most undocumented immigrants are paid a very low wage, right? They get off scot-free. Talk about justice is blind, while the immigrant is the one who pays all of the cost. The system is so messed up, and Charlie is part of the reason why it is messed up. Okay, we got a minute left. Jeez.
A minute
Otherwise,
left?
you do not
This
have
is our
immigration
show.
law. Now, this might bother some people. They say, well, they come into the country because they want a better life. Am I allowed to rob a bank because I'm hungry? Am I allowed to take my neighbor's stuff because I need it? No. In fact, stealing is wrong, regardless of the story that you tell yourself. We are a nation of laws because we are a Christian country that believes that the law is a teacher and a law is...
Hold on. Pause. Stealing is wrong no matter what story you tell yourself. What about the pilgrims that came and stole the land from indigenous people? What about the OG colonizers in the colonies?
What about all the legit stories that Trump's businesses don't pay their contractors or employers or employees? Interesting. Wait, we're a nation of laws. Does trying to overturn our election process count as violating such laws? How about people beating police officers with sticks? Is that part of that process? Or hold on, here's another one. What if the current sitting president is a convicted felon on 34 counts? Are we a nation of laws, Charlie?
My, how the turntables.
A civil instrument towards a free and orderly society. Under no biblical context is it God's wishes for our nation to have chaos and uneasiness or unruliness. Do you think that God smiles when 20 million people come into the country uninvited?
Uninvited? What?
I don't think God does anything. I don't think he's I think he's just
I don't
chilling.
think God smiles when our empire tries to overthrow other governments, especially in the global south, destabilizing people's countries and homelands, forcing mass migrations. I don't think God smiles when we do that. This is what's so infuriating. America has done so much crazy shit in other countries. Yeah. I mean, crazy stuff. CIA's overthrown governments. We've destabilized entire regions. We've caused mass damage in other countries for our own economic interest, causing destabilization and mass migration out of countries. I don't think God smiles on that, Charlie. What are you talking about, dude? And by the way, who gets the call of them being uninvited? I'm certainly going to invite them. No, I welcome them. I'm an American. So maybe God does smile. like who makes the call of them being uninvited or not? Who?
I know.
Crazy.
And honestly, call me crazy, but if there's a family who's starving and they steal something from a local grocery store to feed their children, I'm not mad about that.
Right. I do not cry when someone shoplifts from Walmart. Sorry. The company that literally has been known to pay their employees so low of a wage that they bank on their employees going on government welfare to make ends meet. I'm not crying when someone steals a case of water from Walmart.
Also, Charlie, why do you care what other people do if it's their beliefs?
I'm just saying, it's so it's so backwards.
That's what he said.
Man.
He's all like, "Why do you care what I believe?" And you literally care about everybody else and what they do and what they wear and their sex life. Literally, it's the call is coming from inside the house, Charlie Kirk.
Totally.
When girls are sex trafficked across the southern border, or the cartels are wreaking havoc over the border, and understand there's a variety of laws that people break when they come across the southern border. 8 U.S.C. 1312, 8 U.S.C. 1325, 8 U.S.C. 1830. These are a variety of laws, not just breaking into the country. Do you know that if you come into America by federal law, you have to then tell the federal government your address within 30 days, and you have to do so every single year? And unfortunately, that is not done by a lot of people that come into America. They're in violation of law. Interesting. You should also say, well, Romans 13, we should submit to the rulers and authorities and the laws that are given. And if so, you're in defiance of that. So the point being is this.
Unless it's COVID. Unless it's COVID lockdowns. Then Romans 13 doesn't apply. Then it's tyranny. Then it's big government. Also,
or it's Donald Trump's convictions.
Right. Yeah, exactly. By the way, being undocumented in this country, it's about the equivalent of having a traffic ticket. It's a misdemeanor. Okay. Yeah. And I'm not aware of anyone who thinks that if you speed, you should be thrown in prison or kicked out of the country. This is it's such a false equivalence. And by the way, many immigrants who are here, even undocumented ones, do report to the government. They come in seeking asylum, or they're seeking a certain kind of process, right? And then they're told to wait, so they do, while they're still undocumented. That's a big portion of this, you know? Okay, I'm done with Charlie. That's the end of that clip.
I told you that was gonna rile you up.
Yeah, and we're over time anyway.
I know, and there's so many other ones that to get to that I don't even. There was one that I really wanted to talk about.
Oh, okay. Which one?
It could be really quick. Hold on, I gotta figure out which one it was. Lila Rose, War on Motherhood.
Okay, got it. 33 seconds. She is the founder of Live Action, right? The pro-life.
She's very anti-abortion and pro-birth. I wouldn't call her pro-life, but
unless
I will
it comes
say
to kids in Gaza, then she don't give a shit.
Oh. Well, and a lot of other immigrant children too. I will say I would also put her outfit, although I think this one's kind of cute. But this could also be in District 1.
Really? I think it's it has a nice sundress vibe.
No, it does. But there's something really frilly on the top that I feel is a little more District 1 than the rest of the dress. Not that I love how this is suddenly a fashion show. But
fair. All right, here we go.
We have been told that to be fully women, we have to be more like men. And because men never have to carry children, then we should never have to carry children either. They told us that motherhood ultimately was a form of oppression.
Who?
but they are wrong. The war on motherhood and children is a war on civilization itself.
Wow.
And abortion is its most brutal weapon. The truth is this: the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world.
Okay. Wow.
So dramatic.
So
this is
dramatic.
Like, they're up here. They have a whole conference, and a lot of the clips that we didn't get to are about the importance of having children. It was a big theme. They are literally telling women what to do with their life, which is to become a mom.
Yep.
And she's up there demonizing, saying everyone else in the world except for us is telling you not to become a mom. Being a mom, there's a war on motherhood. And it's just it's so disingenuous, because there is a just complete misunderstanding of what feminism is. Feminism, or like being a feminist, is not anti-motherhood. It's just pro-women's choice to be a mom or to not be a mom. Like, I am a mom and I love my kids. There are a lot of feminists and leftist women who have children and are great moms. And the idea that they somehow pit them against each other, like, you cannot be like it's so annoying how conservatives feel like they have a monopoly on family, and that you couldn't possibly have any sort of leftist beliefs or policies.
Nope, definitely can't.
And be pro-family. Like, they don't, like, they can't coexist. They absolutely can. And in fact, like, my beliefs empower all women to either stay home or to have a career. It's just not forcing them into one or the other. And they make it out like, if you go to college, they're going to be like, you need to be a man. Like, the only pressure I ever felt was I needed to be this perfect cookie cutter version of what femininity was, and have children and serve my husband's needs whenever he wanted it. Like, that was taught to me from a child. That is the oppression. That's what we're saying is oppression, is when you force women to do things based on the whole sole fact that they have a uterus.
100%.
Like, and that's it. Like, it makes women breeders instead of human beings.
Totally. Also, you know what's not pro-family? Unaffordable healthcare is not pro-family. Unlivable wages are not pro-family. No paid family leave is not pro-family. That's what drives me bonkers. And listen, I'm someone who marched in the pro-life movement, okay? I was all about that life for a long time. But as I thought about it, and especially as I saw the connection between better access to birth control and affordable wages all reduce greatly the amount of abortions that take place, it started hitting me like, wait, why aren't we advocating for these things? Like, again, I will say this till the day I die. We have the resources to make healthcare affordable for every single American. We have the resources to make paid family leave a thing, and maternity leave a thing, and paternity leave a thing. What is pro-life? What is pro-family? Pro-family is when you have a baby, having unbridled amounts of time to bond with your baby without worrying about how you're going to make ends meet.
Yeah.
That's pro-family. Pro-family is a life where if you have a baby, mom and dad, or mom or dad and dad, whoever, can sit with that family and enjoy their newborn for maybe a year or two before they worry about going back to work for some employer to make profits off of their back while they get paid pennies on the dollar. And while the CEO makes 400 times what the worker makes. So this is why I get so fired up, because it's actually a mirage. None of what they advocate for are pro-family policies. None.
Yeah.
Trump's big, beautiful bill is not a pro-family bill. These people actually hate the family. What they want is oppression. They want women, like you said, April, to be breeders. They want men to work their bodies down to the bone for someone else. And then they support a system that is built on the unaffordability and therefore the debt industry, right? You can't afford this, just 4 monthly payments. People are financing burritos now. They're financing a burrito. This is the thing. Yes,
really?
Yes. There are these payment systems of, like, I forgot the actual term, but essentially you can split things up into 4 or 5 interest-free payments, right? And people now can do it for Grubhub. And our society is heading to a place where we're going to have all these monthly payments while these companies suck up more and more wealth from the middle and lower class. None of it is pro-family, Charlie. None of it is. None of it is. But they're not talking about that, are they? They're talking about trans people, and they're talking about abortion, and they're talking about the immigrant, all of which have nothing to do with the ridiculous system that's called the American economy that keeps so many people in debt and stressed out and forces women and men to have to work 1 or 2 or 2.5 jobs to try and make it work, which takes them away from their family, which is not pro-family. That it is so ass backwards how this system is set up.
If they actually were pro healthcare or universal healthcare and livable wages and all of those things, the abortion rates would actually go down. You would limit the need for abortion.
Yes, access to affordable contraceptives would greatly reduce the amount of abortions that are happening. So again, and here's why it's so hypocritical. If they really believe, which we would not, but they believe that every abortion is slaughtering a child, like an actual child, right?
Baby murder.
If you actually believe that, wouldn't you do anything? Wouldn't you be as pragmatic as possible to reduce the amount of abortions in this country through whatever means needed to happen, even if it went against your own moral compass? Meaning, let's say you believe that sex shouldn't happen outside of marriage. Okay, well, people are still doing that, and people are still getting pregnant they're getting pregnant without it being planned, right? So if you want to stop that from happening, giving people access to contraceptives would greatly reduce that, therefore reducing the amount of abortions, or in their words, child murder that's taking place. But they don't want that because it's not really about that. It's just propaganda to control the bodies of other people. That's all it comes down to.
Well, yeah. And honestly, baby murder is a very powerful tool to
100%.
use to manipulate people. You know, I mean, it worked on me for the long time. The abortion issue was my one holdout of why I couldn't vote Democrat for the longest time, because I believed this sensationalized idea of what it was. And I mean, it was wrong, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now that you're all worked up.
Thanks, April.
I know. We didn't even get to like half of the clips. I mean, they're all infuriating, though. We got the gist. We
got the gist. Well, thanks, friends, for being here. If you enjoyed the video and are ranting, give it a like, subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on podcast, thank you so much. Please make sure to give this podcast a review and give it a rating. We go live every Thursday on YouTube, and we drop episodes on YouTube and podcast every Monday and Friday. Talk to you later, friends. See ya.